Well, hello, LinkedIn family, Facebook family, and now in my YouTube channel family. I'm doing a special Coffee with Bob live this week. Actually, got another one later on in the week too on Friday. That's going to be a really interesting one. So you'll see me plug that later in one of my posts. But for today, I have the fabulous, the marvelous, the wonderful Annie Leib with us today, who's got some very exciting news. I've connected with Annie for a while now, and we've engaged back and forth, pleasantries and shared posts and all that good stuff. I did a feature and follow Friday on Annie that went really well. People really love her, and I just thought it was time that we got on a live to really talk about what she's got going on, and now it's even more important because now she is just jettisoning into a new type of deal that I think is going to be really important for everybody to hear. Annie, thank you so much for being on Coffee with Bob. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad that you're on with me.
Thanks for having me and for making a special time slot for me. I appreciate it. You were so flexible because my Fridays are crazy. But I waited like a really long time to finally be invited on Coffee with Bob. So I'm glad that I'm finally here. It's exciting stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. The invitation's always open because, I say this and I put it on the scroll. One connection can change a life. Mm-hmm. You are definitely one of those connections. And I'll tell you that, more than some of your posts have helped me out.
Thank you so much for saying that. That means so much to me. So, you wanted me to kind of just tell a little bit about myself and what's going on.
Yeah, let's talk about what's going on.
A little bit of my background before I can go forward, or else it won't make any sense. So in 2018, I went back to school at 40 to get my MBA, my executive MBA, and it was a transformative process for myself. In the midst of it, I was trying to just manage a lot in my life and go to school full time and work and have my own consulting business. And about a year ago, or a little over a year ago, I started getting really active on LinkedIn. And I still had this little business, but I said to somebody, I got close with a couple people, and I said to somebody, you have a bad attitude. And he said, that's so funny, you should make it a hashtag. And then we decided we're going to make it a brand. So, hi, Elsie, how are you? Oh, sorry, I'm not the host. This is what happens.
That's okay. We're both connected with Elsie, and she's wonderful. So that's
then
perfect.
Comments come in, and I start talking. I forget that I'm not hosting. I'm sorry. I do so many lives.
That's all right.
So then we decided to make this brand Living with Attitude, right? And we started a podcast. Mike Paterano and I partnered a long time ago, got really super close, and we started this podcast. And it was all about being heart-centered, being your authentic self, stepping into who you truly are. And I started to help clients do the same thing, step into who you really are, be really heart-centered. And then I realized as I kept going and getting more clients and the business was growing, that I got this, that says truth in Hebrew.
Okay.
And it was very meaningful to me. It was a turning point. And I just, in the last couple of months, truly stepped into what is called the soul center. And as I'm talking to Mike and as we're developing the business, it's like, well, it's really the soul center that is everything. It's the epicenter. Mm-hmm. So we're turning Living with Attitude ends tonight. Tonight's the last live Living with Attitude show. We have turned it will now be the following week. We are launching the Soul Center Experience live show. And we are also launching the Soul Center, which is an invite-only private exclusive group, a safe space for men and a safe space for women. Again, that's private, and I'm sending out invitations as we speak, and we're getting enrollment, and it's really exciting. That launches in the middle of June. And in the midst of it, I'm seeing clients, under my Annie Leib LLC, and that's growing. So one-to-one coaching and guiding and mentoring. And the best part is I've just never been, and I know people say this and they don't mean it. That I don't blow smoke. I've never been so fulfilled in my life. I wake up excited to do the day every day. And I have to say that that's all attributed to me stepping into my whole self as who I really am. And I think a lot of people are heart-centered, and that's wonderful. And they're in their heart, and they, are authentic and they're genuine, but they don't know exactly who they are. So what Mike and I developed is a program that we take my clients through, and that we're doing in the groups, and that we'll review in the groups. It's called the Breath Framework. Breath is a really important word for me. It's tattooed on me. It's my only other tattoo. The word breath means something to me because in my darkest days in 2014, and then 2015, I got it. I knew that you could take everything from me. You could strip me of everything, but you couldn't take my breath. That was mine. So that word has carried meaning. And then we developed this framework called the breath framework. B is for, it's an acronym. So B is for begin where you are. R is for reclaim your power. E is for excavate your core values. A is allow. T is through, as in you can't go around, you have to go through. And H is for healing. And I have a whole program that, we have co-developed to guide and coach people to this path of fulfillment that I've reached. So it's almost like mirroring my journey.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really, really exciting for me. It's like my baby.
Wow. Okay, cool. Wow. Sounds super.
That's a lot. I just put a lot on you, Bob.
And that's quite a shift as well, too, but still very kind of similar to living with Anitude, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, living with Anitude was definitely my beginning. I have nothing bad to say about it. I've just sort of, as we all do when you do the work, you sort of evolve. Mm-hmm. And my life and my person and my being has evolved. And I've gone on this journey with Mike. We're very close. And, we sort of said, what's the next step? Like, you're just not, I'll always live with Anitude. That's me. That's my, in the fabric of my being. But I've evolved into this place that's like really deep rooted and soul centered. And I want to share that with people because the journey has been an arduous one. And I want to share my, Bob, happiness is fleeting, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Happiness comes in moments. You can grab them, you can hold on to them, you can put them in your pocket for later. It's in moments, but it's not a state of mind. When I think of a state of mind, and where people want to go and where they want to be whole. They want to be in a place of peace. They want to be in a place of fulfillment. Fulfillment is you've reached your destination, and you continuously evolve, of course, but like you've reached the place that you want to be, and that's where I am. And I would be just remiss not to share that with my clients and with people as well.
Yeah. So what's interesting when you're talking about safe places. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit, what you mean by safe places and what you're hoping to accomplish within these safe places.
That's a great question. So part of my whole person and my being and who I am, as you know, is someone mm-hmm. who shows up really authentic, really raw. I do everything off the cuff for the most part. I mean, my videos, my content, I write in the morning, I do in the morning usually. And all of my material and my copy and everything that I put out there is just really from my heart and soul. And what I've found is the people that I've surrounded myself with have been such key contributors to my success of finding this place of fulfillment, as well as my success in business. And what I have found is that the reason that this is becoming so successful and why it's working is because I allow and they allow me to be vulnerable. So when I'm vulnerable and raw and real, it allows people to open up and be that way because they know it's safe. So my groups will be a confidential group. No one else is going to see the information. It's totally exclusive content, my coaching as a group, and exclusive access to the community with one another. But there's going to be nothing posted. No one else will see it. And it's a safe, confidential area where people can feel like they can come and talk about what's keeping them stuck. Where are they on their road to fulfillment? Where are they in the breath framework? And how can they do the work to reach that place of fulfillment? But they can know that it's not a catty place. It's not a gossipy place. It's a place that's safe where you can be who you are. And that's part of the issue with everybody just kind of walks around with this, no pun intended, with masks on.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And invisible masks also,
right.
Where you not only are you hiding who you are, but you're not even sure who you totally are. And that's part of the breath framework is learning. Mm-hmm. And that's why we say B is for begin, because truly, like, I meet people where they are. It's like you're going to start somewhere differently than I am, or she's going to start, or, everybody's going to start where they are. I can't tell you where to start. Only you know where you have to start. Yeah. And then we go from there. So it's not like a rigid program and steps that we follow. That's why it's called a framework. Because it's the basic stuff, and we're just going to get in, dig deep, and talk about stuff. And I want everybody to know that they can feel safe in the group.
Yeah, it's it in this age of social media, it really is hard not to have a mask, right? And there are so many people who think they're seeing you in that mask. You know what I mean? I get this all the time. Why do you do Coffee with Bob? Why do you do Feature and Follow Friday? Why do you introduce so many people out? What's in it for you? Are you really like this? Or when I post about gratitude, right? And I post about kindness and all that other stuff. I truly do get a lot of questions questioning whether that's the authentic me. And it is. It really is. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really on Facebook that much anymore, because of the sheer volume of negativity. But I think for anyone, it's hard to reconcile who they are, right? And portray that accurately on social media across any of the platforms. I don't care if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, any Snapchat, all those other ones, and how you do that. So that's what I think is really interesting about what you're doing is, it seems like it would help people kind of get past that and be able to portray themselves, right?
That's exactly right. I'm not a huge Facebook, Instagram person. I have nothing against those platforms. I think they're great. I just think, there's something about LinkedIn that I just have like such a soft spot for. There's a community and a following and an engaged people that, we just have this unbelievable understanding for one another. But the truth of the matter is if we can all come together and be real and be vulnerable, then that's going to go across all platforms. Because if people can show up who they are, once they figure out where they should begin, how to reclaim their power, and what their core values are once they're excavated. And I use that word excavate on purpose because that's like a really deep dive into, I just did like a shovel. I don't know if anybody saw that, but I was like shoveling and then throwing it over. You're like, yeah, you're digging. So it's a deep dive into core values. And like when I first started my core value search and journey and excavation, I had no idea. I thought I knew. I'm like, oh yeah, just for an example, I remember looking at a list of like 150 core values. And I was like, oh, obviously like honesty, empathy. And I thought I knew them, right? And I said, freedom. What do you mean? Like, we're all free. It's a free world. Like, what are you talking about? That's like silly. And then as I excavated and went through this process, I learned that yes, those other ones are my core values, but my overarching core value happens to be the one I laughed at first, which is my personal freedom to be me, who I really am, and show up as me every day, all day. And that's not easy for people to do, let alone every day, all day. So that's sort of like the journey. And it's, I went through it. So that's why I can relate to people so well, and why it's so successful right now with clients making such drastic improvements in such a short time, because it's like they're mirroring my journey. I'm like, oh my God, I just went through this. Like, let's walk through this together. And I believe there's a ton of other coaches out there. There's a ton of other mentors, and people are all unique. So there's a unique fit for me and there's a unique fit for my client. And I don't find the other ones to be in competition with me. I find there's a fit for everybody.
Sure.
And so the people that know what I'm doing when I say I'm walking into the soul center and I'm living in my core values, the people that are drawn to me are supposed to be with me.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about people that are drawn to you, right? Obviously you have to reach out to them first, right? Because they may not even be aware that they're drawn to you. When you're reaching out to people, like when you reached out to me as an example, right? When you and I connected, what is it that's prompting you to do that? I mean, what is it that you're seeing in someone that says, I can help this person?
The openness, the open-mindedness is the key. Self-awareness, but see, everybody thinks they have self-awareness, but most people are not self-aware. They think they are, and that's a journey too. But I try to find ways people that I recognize where I was. A lot of times, places that I was, oh, I see that I was there at one point. Oh, that person's saying this, and I've been there. And then I can sort of, again, mirroring my journey, kind of take a look at them and say, look, I've been here, let's talk about how we can maybe partner. But honestly, Bob, like, I haven't done a lot of outreach. I like to outreach to make connections. But as far as my business goes and my coaching goes, they've come to me, they've seen my content and it resonated.
Right. Yep.
And then we had a discover call and we decided, okay, this makes sense. But I don't advertise. I don't, sales pitch anybody. I feel like it's, as woo-woo as this sounds and as unwoo-woo as I am, it's very like in the universe. Like if it's going to happen and it's going to be, and the energy is there and the partnership is right, it will be.
Yeah.
Just like the breath framework came about, it wasn't like I have to sit down and I have to think of a framework. Like we just were talking as we always do and brainstorming. And this was like, wait a minute, that word has such meaning. what does it really mean when you dig deep?
Right.
And that's where it came from. And then I'm like, that really follows sort of the journeys we've been on. And now it's being rolled out to clients and now groups in mid-June. And it's just, it all really goes back to open-mindedness. When someone is open and free and says, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but I want to hear what you have to say. I'm curious, but when someone's narrow-minded and closed-minded, they're never gonna be able to kind of see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's not me going out and convincing them is my
right. Point. So when people, we'll start with a general thing. When people look at you or people digest your comment, your content, right? When you look at it from a male and female perspective, because we're different. We are. Mm-hmm. I'm from Mars, you're from Venus. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Trust me, it's all true, and I get it. And it's been a journey for me to get to that level where I can be a better listener and be attentive in the right manner. Where do you think most guys are at when they start to realize I need to work with someone like Annie to become a better person or to reach my goals or whatever?
Bob, that's a great question. You're really good questions. Men especially, you're saying. Mm-hmm. So when my content,
and then I want to hear the woman. I want to hear the female perspective from your opinion too, as well.
You should tell me from a man's perspective, but from my content, I think that men are hit on, believe it or not, I'm going to say more of a soul level than women. From my experience, when they are in touch with themselves, it might be blocked, but when they are in touch with some sort of soul center inside them, it's my content for the most part is going to stir up some sort of, I need to know more. And then women are more heart centered. So they see my light and what I bring, and they say, how did she get to where she is? I need to know more. So they both end up in the same place. But if I had to tell the difference, that would be my difference, if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think there's a definite difference. I think, at least from a guy's perspective, guys get to a point where we feel like we're hitting a brick wall, right? And, it takes us a little bit longer to get to that point where we understand that it's the way that we're communicating, or actually the lack of the way we communicate, right? Mm-hmm. Because guys are all about black and white.
That's it. Answers.
Fix the problem. Mm-hmm. You tell me what your problem is. I'm going to give you the answer on how to fix it. When in reality, you don't want the answer to the problem. You don't want me to fix it for you. You just want me to understand that you're having this issue, right?
And hear me.
Yeah. So I think guys get to that part in their lives and they realize that I need to become a better active listener. I need to become more empathetic. I need to stop solving, and I need to start listening and supporting. Then I think, someone like you would be fantastic. Now, from a female point of view, that's a little bit different, I think.
So you make a good point. And my thought is that, if they're listening and watching me, and I think that a lot of those men want to be heard as well.
Oh, yeah.
They might have been to a point where they say, I've hit a wall and I need to do this and I need to do that, but I just want somebody to listen to me. A lot of men don't have a voice either. It's not like men rule and women are meek. There's plenty of women that run the relationship and men that haven't been heard in years. So my clients, in my experience, it's been more that across the board, men and women just want to be heard. And then once I hear them, once I listen to them and understand where they're coming from, first of all, that's a breath of relief, just to be heard. Secondly, then we look at where they are in the breath framework and what we can work on together and how we can partner to get them to a more favorable place.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about your background that helped you develop all this, right? I mean, and trust me, when I say background, I'm going to mean just educational, because this goes beyond anything educational.
Mm-hmm. So I totally agree with you. This is besides, I have my master's obviously, but I don't even talk about my education. Like, this is all life experience. That's what I bring to the table. My struggles, my journey, I've had mental health struggles. I've had addiction struggles. I've been there. I've seen the darkness. That's what I say to people. I have lived a couple of lives. Like, this is not somebody who is, and I have nothing against psychiatry at all. It's just a different spot. It's a different thing. I'm not trying to be a therapist, but I will say that there's something different about reading out of a book and being diagnosed than somebody who has seen, like I said, that darkness. Right. And I mean, I remember, Bob, I've had depression struggles, and like, I remember not being, I don't know if you saw my post, but like, I was so depressed, I couldn't see in color anymore. Like, that's how bad it was. And I've come to the other side. So I'm the light on the other side that says, it's okay, we can make this jump. And I'm not by any means getting into mental health, and there is a definite place for psychiatry, but what I am is an example of somebody who's been on this journey. And when people see me, they're like, how are you so positive and happy all the time? And I mean, that's why I show the other side, because I want people to know my life is real, and it's hard with the kids and the dog and the work and the paying bills and the single momhood and all that stuff but I really try to reframe when I can with things are going to go wrong for everybody. Right. And everybody has their crap. Everybody has their family stuff. Everybody has their stuff. Nobody's life is perfect. That's why I think Instagram and Facebook is there's a lot of, there can be a lot of BS. But I think when you can really be you and show, like, can you look at my life today? Like, I'm just having a rough one. People relate to that, and it's real. So that's how I try to show up every day. But my background is really my journey, my journey into the soul center, my struggles in the past, and then how I've overcome them, and how I'm evolving every day. So I evolve and heal with my clients as much as they heal from me.
And in all cases, I truly believe this, that is probably the best experience and the best leader to follow, right? That have been through the gates of hell, right? The fires of hell, and have come through on the other side, just bright and shining, and just a beacon to help others. And I think, at least from my perspective, that's who you are.
Thank you so much. I mean, that means so much to me, because that's exactly my whole point. Like, I understand there's all these different degrees you can have, and that's wonderful. Like, more power to you. But I will tell you that when I show up, there's nobody that's going to feel unseen. And I think that is such an important piece of what I do, because I'm also an empath. So I see and feel things that other, regular people don't. Like, I just see and feel very, very deeply. So I'll connect with people on a level of like, with a centeredness and with a presence that other people might not. But I will say that, like, it's just all about people being seen and heard. And I know that because for so long I wasn't. I wasn't seen and I wasn't heard. Or I didn't feel seen and I didn't feel heard. Yeah. So reframe that. But like, I don't know what I was, but I can tell you what I wasn't. And that was, I felt invisible, and I was in pain. And I know that journey, and I know the hard work. And I wish that, along the way, I had run into somebody that had gone through a similar struggle like that, so that they would understand and partner with me like I'm doing. Right. But that wasn't so big in that time, where this is more of a new age, a little bit more like where people are more open-minded to it. But it's just been really, this is really, Bob, you're catching me at like a really amazing time. Like I said to you earlier, Mike and I are doing 10 shows in the next 14 days, or 11 shows or something, to launch this Soul Center experience and the Soul Center. And it's like, like you're having a baby, kind of like you've just done all of this work for so long, and I've journeyed so much that it's here, like it's arrived. And it's just, I'm meeting the best people, and the most meaningful connections are being made. And every day I feel just like, this is my purpose. This is my mission. This is my reason for being here. And I don't know about you, but like, that's always what I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel like I had a purpose. I wanted to feel like I was on a mission. I couldn't figure out what that mission was. Yeah. Until a couple turning points this year. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And I'm so glad that you've gotten to that point, because myself included, I know a lot of people that are still searching for what that mission is. And, I'm an older guy, so I'm, older than you are, and still looking for that right niche to be on mission that helps fulfill my own internal values. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You're talking my
great.
language.
Yeah,
so being aligned, it really goes back, Bob, to being aligned, becoming aligned with your core values. So when I did that excavation and I aligned with those values, which now I know what they are because I did the work. Once I stepped into those and I live my life by those values every day, nothing could chip away at my soul anymore. So before I knew what they were and before I stepped into them fully, I was chipping away at myself. I just didn't realize it. So behaviors and actions and decisions were very different than they are now. Now my life is based on those values and nothing can chip away at me. It almost feels like a bulletproof type feeling. Not to say that things don't bother me or, I'm always happy, because that's not the case. But I will tell you that things do bounce off much differently than they used to. They didn't used to bounce off. It was like being an empath too, like everything just like shot right through and hurt me in my heart and soul. And it was really me that was hurting me, like in all of those times in that whole journey, it was me that was just not in my soul center. I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't know how to get there. And so developing this framework has helped me as much as it's helping clients. I'm still, and again, always evolving. There's no ending to it. I'm not like, oh, I did it. When it ends, you're dead. So right. I want to always continue to evolve. And this is going to evolve and turn into something bigger and better and help lots and lots of people. I really believe that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I've watched your journey over the last couple of years, and it's been amazing. And I am truly blessed with your connection, and I appreciate you so much. So how do people find you other than on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is really my spot. My website is also AnnieLeib.com. It's ANNIELEIB.com. You can make a discovery call with me. It's like 30 minutes and we can chat, just talk about where you are. But other than that, I'm a LinkedIn fanatic, as you know. But Bob, I have to say one thing before we go. You are such an incredible supporter and encourager. You're like seriously like a chief encouraging officer. You're just so positive and wonderful. Always. You always show up. You always show up.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that, because there's my like select, like my like people, my inner people that are always there supporting me and rooting me on, and you're one of them. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've gotten as much as I give, so it works out perfect, and I've learned a ton. What I would like to do is if we can have Mark, right? Your partner,
Mike.
I knew it was an M. When you guys are ready, let's do a real deep dive into the Soul Center, because you said you got like 14 scheduled this week or something like that. Let's schedule something. Yeah, let's schedule something for after that, so I can have both of you on, and sure. let's really talk about the Soul Center, and we'll deep dive into it even more. Not that we didn't deep dive here, but let's really get it discovered there. Okay. Annie, thank you so much for being on the show today. I am truly appreciative. I've been wanting this for a long time, and I'm so glad you carved out just a little bit of time for me.
Thank you for making the time for me too, Bob. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You have a wonderful day, and good luck on the Soul Center.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
It always takes so long to end these.
I know, and I'm like waiting.
All right.